So guys, I'm gonna tell you about what is the ES6 features. So this is right ES6 features and template literal and destructing assignment and let and const arrow function classes and modules. So first I just started with the let and const declaration blocking scope, right? So in ESMS script and later version, the let and const keyword were introduced to declare variable with the block level scoping as opposed to the function level scoping used by the var keywords. This means that variable declared with the let and const are only accessible within the block enclosed by curly braces where they are defined. Let declaration syntax let variable name equal to initial value. Example block scoped variable using let function. Example if true, let x is equal to 10 console.log x is equal to and 10. The following line would cause an error if as x is not accessible here. Console.log x error x is not defined, right? So example, in this example the variable is declared using let within if the block making it accessible only within the block. Explanation. Now the about the code, this code about this is the explanation of that. So the code define a function name example, uh, like like inside the example function there is an if statement with the condition if true, the this condition will always be true. So the code within the associate block will always execute within the block. If block a variable x is declared using the let keyword, let x is equal to 10. This means that the variable x is only accessible within this block due to block scoping. The value of x is set to x 10. The code then blocks the value of x to the console using console.log x. In this case, it will output 10. After the if block, there is a commented outline of code console.log x. Error x is not defined. This line demonstrates that if you try to access the variable x outside the if block, it will result an error. This is because x is only defined within the block where it was declared. Finally, the example function is called example, so the entire process is executed. When you run this code, you will see 10 log to the console, and if you uncomment the line attempting to log x outside the if block, you would encounter an error because x is not accessible in that scope. Const declaration syntax const variable name constant मतलब the constant declaration. तो const variable name is equal to initial value, and this is syntax. Example block scope constant using const function. Example if true, const pi is equal to 3.14 console.log pi 3.14. Take the following line would cause an error as pi is not accessible here. Console.log pi error pi is not defined. Example, right? Explanation. In this example, the const pi is declared using const within the if block, making it accessible only within that block. The key difference with const is that must be assigned a value when declared, and its value cannot be reassigned later in the code. It is important to note that both let and const declaration have a block scope, which means they are only accessible within the block or statement where they are defined, and this can help prevent unintended variable hoisting and improve code reliability and maintainability. The code define function name example, like inside the example function there is an if statement with a condition if true. Similar to the previous example, this condition will always be true, so the code within the associated block will always execute. Within the if block, a constant pi is declared using the const keyword. Const pi is equal to 3.14, unlike variable declared with the let. And constants declared with the const must be assigned a value when declared, and their values cannot be reassigned later in the code. The value of pi is set to 3.14. The code then logs the value of pi to the console using console.log pi. In this case, it will output 3.14. After the if block, there is a commented outline of code console.log pi error pi is not defined. This line demonstrate that if you try to access the constant pi outside the if block, it will result in an error. Constant, like variable declared with the let, have block scope and are only accessible within the block where they were defined. Finally, the example function is called example, so the entire process is executed. When you run this code, you will see 3.14 log to the console, and if you uncommented the line attempting to the log pi outside the if block, you would encounter an error because pi is not accessible in that scope. So this is all about const and let guys in the ES6 features. So in next video I will tell you about anything arrow function, classes, module, yeah, template later, right? So let's see what is coming, right? So let's meet in the next video guys.